Hi, hello everybody. This is David Shepard Love coming to you from the shadow of Sedona. We're down here in Camp Verde, Arizona, and at our shop here at Mystic Muse, right in the heart of Camp Verde, right on Main Street. Pleasure to have all of you here. This is our weekly show that we do here, all metaphysically based and driven by comments from lovely people like yourself. So happy to have you all here, and I'll turn it over to my lovely cohort here.
Hello, I'm Debora Christy Love, and welcome to Friday, end of August, last show in August this month, and hopefully we have some questions today.
Short and sweet, huh?
Well, you introduced our shop, so...
Well, I did. I said everything right up front. It's been a very interesting week. Actually, just feeling a little overwhelmed trying to process all the energy of this week. I find that people going out, online kind of live for the internet. So I'm talking to people around the world, and I just find like some days people are just soaring in awe and everything's beautiful, and I'll call back the next day or type, usually just texting, and they're the depths of depression. It's just the energy is so erratic now, and I think all of us are so super sensitive right now that it doesn't take us much to push us over or up. We're just.
Well, we are super sensitive, but things change quickly too. One minute something's working out, the next minute it's like some huge obstacle, and it's like that for everybody I talk to. And so things keep changing quickly, and we're extra sensitive, and things are triggering people, and so it's kind of been crazy all around. And it's hard to stay even keel or grounded, and I think we need to do more of that grounding exercises to help us stay centered and stay on an even keel here.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. I notice your voice is a little softer today, so make sure.
Right.
Make sure you speak up. We've had a few comments that we're not heard. We're doing all this spontaneous on our smartphones, so technology is what it is. It'd be nice to be in a big live studio with all the bells and whistles, but this seems to work pretty good. We're actually getting over 400 views weekly, I think, and so the word's getting out there. Whatever we're doing, we seem to be doing it right. And I just wanted to follow up on your comments, which is one of my favorite verses. I'm not much of a Bible thumper, but I've been around it all my life, and I think it's Daniel or somebody. He's one of our big prophets. He says, unless time be shortened, no flesh shall survive. So that's really what we're going through right now, big time. That's why we're seeing such massive earth changes, and I just expect it's going to get more and more. This like instant feedback loop, and all kinds of really strange things happening, political, socially, economically, you name it. They're going to be affecting, and that's on our personal levels. Our past, our dreams, everything can manifest so quickly right now, but so can our heartbreaks and our tragedies and our problems, because we need to learn quickly, and that's what all this is about. The time being shortened, flesh actually surviving. It's in countless different other prophecies as well. So now's our time to shine, and hopefully we don't go down with the toilet like some people are going to, because it's rough right now.
I think it is rough for a lot of people, but we have to see it as a challenge sometimes, and sometimes those things push us to do better. They push us to make a change that was needed in the first place, and so we have to try and get beyond the first feelings of discouragement and move beyond that. And I think it turns out for the better, but time is really shortening, and like you said, the feedback loop, but not only that, the days just go by so fast. It's the end of August, and it seemed like just a couple of days ago was the beginning of August, so it just seems like, I don't know where that month went. It just sped by, and it's now like a month. It seems like a week or two, and it's going faster all the time. So I'm not sure what to make of that, and it kind of throws everybody into some kind of a realm they're not used to.
Well, time is very illusory anyway. Where your attention is, we can shorten it, or it can be long. If you're really bored, then time is just going to be really slow. And if you're like totally in the moment and in your joy aura, it might just seem like a minute just went by when really it was an hour or two. So it's very relative, and so is these earth changes. I mean, when we talk about a feedback loop, it's much like how a dream is. In a dream, we can change our landscape very quickly in a dream, and as we learn to lucid dream, we can actually have conscious control over that. So in a sense, we're all living the dream right now here in 3D, and we're able to, like the dreamer, change our reality around us simply by becoming more lucid of it around us. It will either change for us, which it's doing increasingly and very quickly anymore, or we can kind of step in the center of it, become more conscious, become more aware of the process that's going on. There is a shortening of time, and allow ourselves to become more centered, more holy and free, and this is really going to be our salvation, our life raft, if you will, in these latter days that we're all going to have to go through here on Earth at this time.
And don't forget to ask for help. We can ask for our guides and angels and ancestors to help us out on the other side. We do have this help available to us, and we do need to ask for it. And there's many cases where that I can feel the difference when I remember to ask, and so can others. And one example is, for your sister's fire there, she had two fires converging together 3/4 of a mile from her home in Globe, and we put it out there for prayers and people sending energy and light and protection. And she came home 2 days later after having to evacuate and told me, I got home and we've had lots of rain. And it was like,
first time in months. That's why the fires. Yeah.
So we can affect things by putting our collective energies together like that.
Well, and that's a lot what's happening too. Is it's not only like the universe is going crazy around us. It's the reason that all that's happening is because it's becoming super conscious. Well, at the same time, we ourselves are becoming very super conscious, and this allows us to cause these manifestations. If anything that you believe in your heart and your mind and your spirit can actually manifest very quickly now, because we're becoming superpower centers as well. So it's not like the universe is conspiring against us. More likely it's conspiring with us, and we just need to hop aboard and enjoy this energy by believing, by putting ourselves on the throne of the most holy, which we are, and through this empowerment, this is going to allow us to surf through these times a lot more gently.
Yes.
Hopefully gently, I don't know. But a rough week for me, yeah.
Hopefully. So I got my deck of cards here, and this deck of cards for this week is The Wisdom of the Hidden Realms by
You want to hold that close?
Wisdom of the Hidden Realms by Colette Baron Reed, and these are a beautiful deck of cards.
It's all backwards, but it's okay.
Had for a while now, and I'm going to shuffle them and choose a card for our viewers. Maybe that's it.
It just fell out. That's
it just fell out of the deck, so I think that's the one. So the intention is for all of our viewers that this will be relevant for this week. And the card we have is Lady of the Gift. So it's generosity, receiving, and withholding. And this is the card here. Beautiful artwork on there. So this is a card about, as we were just talking about, so many things happening, and we can learn to see things as a gift. And with the gifts that we receive, we're reminded to always give out, that we will receive back what we give out. And so this generosity is reminding us that when we receive gifts and things from grace, basically, that we can we can give that out as well, and we're kind of being asked to not withhold it so much, and to be generous and to give it out in return as kind of the way to be thankful for the gifts that we receive.
Now, can you tell me why you think they put the word withholding on there as going along with words like generosity and receiving?
Well, maybe
what do you
there's
make of
times
that?
when withholding is the better option for some people. I think sometimes if we're not sure about something, withholding is a good way to get further information, and sometimes that's a way to wait for further information and not make a decision too quickly. Hello there.
Oh, okay. So
Maureen?
I imagine what it's saying is that there's a lot of ways that a gift can be. You know, it's not just about giving gifts, but it's also about receiving a gift. Mm-hmm. Or at other times maybe, it's talking about withholding a gift. So maybe at times it's not the right time to gift a person. They need to go through what they need to go through at that time. So I think it's just more being in the spirit with our giving. And in this, for this week, I would say that this energy card is telling us to be more generous, but to also be more receiving. I think there are people out there that have a hard time receiving. They're great givers. I know I run into people all the time because I'm kind of associated with the light worker crowd, and we're very into giving and helping people all the time. But I find that a lot of these people, including myself sometimes, we don't receive real well. It's all about give, and then when stuff comes up for us, we kind of don't take it in, or if we get it, we kind of say, well, here's a gift back to you, and thank you, but here's something for you too. Here's double what you just gave me. So I think we got to learn to be gracious receivers as well. So sometimes the act of giving a gift is just as or receiving a gift is even more important than giving a gift, because that really shows where our heart is in this. Give, but also receive for this week for everybody.
Yeah, and I think it's telling us too to keep our dreams alive, and remember too that sometimes withholding, we get ideas in our own mind of what we think we want, and sometimes withholding can be the gift, because sometimes if we wait long enough, we realize that thing we thought we wanted, not getting it was probably the greatest thing that happened. So that's another reason why the word withholding is there. We have to see everything as a gift, and that everything will work itself out into its divine timing and its own divine purpose. So, and we're not always sure what that is, and sometimes that takes a little time to have it become clear for us.
Yeah, it's all about patience. I know a lot of us, if you got an active mind like I do, I probably got 20 things that I want to get on the slate and get them going. But, for whatever reason, they're not happening. A lot of times we're being blocked financially, or it's just not the right time, or the right people haven't showed up, or circumstances have not showed up. And the universe knows exactly what we need. It keeps our schedule, our appointments. It knows exactly what it needs. And a lot of times our ego, or more fragile part of ourselves, it doesn't see the whole picture. It can't see the whole picture. It's just a little slice of the whole picture. And of course there's different ways of looking at it, and slices contain the whole universe. So, so I just encourage people to be more patient at these times, especially when we're getting bombarded with things that we think are not so great in our lives. Well, it might turn out a month from now that was the greatest thing that could have happened to us. So we just gotta breathe and keep asking for help from our guides, and have faith that everything's working out as it should be.
Okay, well, I hope that card's been helpful.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
What else you got for us today?
Oh, I'm not sure. I haven't looked through my book.
Looking. Well, I'll go ahead and welcome Lorraine. Thank you for joining us, Lorraine, a great friend from us who we met at the church I used to pastor up there up in Barrie, and then What's the city of Bloor? It's been so long since I've been there.
Really?
No, up above that.
Toronto? What?
Above.
I'm not sure where you're talking about. Sorry.
The church that we pastored forever.
Oh, in Aurelia.
Aurelia. Right. Sorry, I should have known that, but a little spacey today. So anyway, Lorraine actually followed us from Barrie, which is about a half an hour drive, up to the church we started pastoring up there. So, there's the answer now. Thanks, Aurelia, or Lorraine. And so, always honored that you did that. That's really awesome. And here we are, thousands of miles away, and you still follow us. So, what a wonderful gift that
so
is.
nice.
So speaking of giving gifts, what you got?
Well, I just reminded, looking through here, I found a spot where there's so many times in my life, and I think other people have this as well. I know I'm not the only one. I believe we have a map within us that, we've chosen a lot of things in our life ahead of time before we've come here, things we wanted to experience to get us where we wanted to go, and so a lot of these things are charted out. And there was a time in my life when I remembered that I had the knowledge or the knowing that my grandmother was going to pass, and it was very early on in my first marriage, and I was, I believe, pregnant with my first child, and I just remember knowing this, and I never talked about it, except to my husband at the time, I think, but never talked about it. But I had this knowing, and I think we have to take those feelings and things seriously, because we do get told certain things, we have feelings about things, and so those are opportunities that even if we can't change it, that we can make the best of it. And when I had that knowing, or actually a message from my guide at that time, that this was going to happen, I remember knowing it was the last Christmas I would have with her. And so I made, a point of making sure I got out to her house to do the baking for Christmas that year, and just tried to make it special and tried to make those times count. And I think, we're not always all given clear messages, but we all have our intuition, and we need to listen to it, and we need to do the best we can and make the best of it. Sometimes life doesn't give us things that are convenient, and we just have to throw everything aside and choose what is important to us. And, those things are memories that we made together, that, I had that last baking day with her, and, it was really a great time to remember. And, we have to really prioritize what's important in our life.
I just want to take a second here to welcome Fraser.
Oh, hi, Fraser.
Our big supporters from Ontario, and so welcome. I think you makes business with pleasure, but Fraser has a question that he's working with us on that's of urgency. So welcome. It's good to feel your energy. And Lorraine has said, I don't know if I should read that aloud or not, but yeah, we really appreciate that you have followed us around all of this time, and
it's been nice to catch up with you.
Yeah. I mean, you've given us as much as you think we've given you, Lorraine, because your energy is pretty strong. So.
You were in our classes. You came to the Reiki class, and we're always an eager student, and always. And I know you've become much stronger. I've seen your growth over the years, and it's really nice to see you utilizing some of that healing power that we worked on together, etc. So congratulations, and I know that you're still pushing forward, and still that loving energy that's sending healing out to so many people.
Yeah, very good. And what was your comment? I was too busy reading. Did you have more to say on your quote out of the book there?
Just that we really need to follow those intuitive feelings that we get. They don't always make sense at the time, but and like I said, we can't always change things that we're given notification for, but we can reprioritize to make things better. We can, like I said, I knew that was my last Christmas with my grandmother, and definitely made extra time, and you know, we have to do those things because there's no going back. So just a reminder to really pay attention to those feelings, because it's so easy to think, oh, where did that come from? That's crazy. You know, there's no reason for this feeling to be there. There always is a reason, or you wouldn't get it. It's actually that simple.
Well, and all the more reasons why we need to purify ourselves and just learn to listen to our higher selves. I know most of us think in our minds, and they think, oh, that's just myself thinking, but a lot of times as we begin to really listen to our thoughts and you know, shut out the negative ones, or the ones that we know are not helping us, the words are going to start coming there for you. So that guidance, or that feeling, that intuition is going to be there to guide you on, just like you with your grandmother. You knew that was the last time around. Well, we get these messages all the time. It's just a matter of tuning in and you know, making it natural. It is you know, it is one of our natural senses that we have. It's just a matter of getting more attuned to it.
And full circle, my CD that I put out a few years ago, all the songs that I've written, I'll give you a picture of it here. Love Will Find a Way, and the song called Simple Truth, number 6 on this album, was actually channeled by my grandmother. And the simple truth is that all those messages she gave me are in that song, and it's really about that, finding that simple truth, the things that are lasting, and the things that don't change, and the things that are important. And so yeah, so full circle. You know, I got the message before she passed, and she's still talking to me and giving me songs.
Good.
So, you know, there is no real death, and that's the proof there for me.
Sounds good. Little plug for your album there. Love Will Find a Way, a collection of I think about half of the songs you wrote before I met you. So I'd say from the year 2000 until 2010, but you've continued to get even more songs since then, and since that time, a few years ago, we had it professionally mastered at a studio, and you got some musical accompaniment behind that. Thank you to Sproutwise and Joshua Dirksen, who's was very instrumental in more ways than one. To getting that out, so it's a beautiful album. You can get all of this stuff on our website at Mystic Muse Online, or just type in your name, Debora Christy Love, because you're getting quite a listing there on the search engines anymore.
I hope that's true. I hope that's true. Yeah, so I think it's probably time for one of your
one of my cards?
lesson cards, or subject cards, I should say.
See where it goes.
Topic cards.
I always say this is from my class, Rainbow Bridge, from 1992. So going back almost 30 years now. Showing my age here. And of course, I'm timeless, so I feel like the same person I was 30 years ago. Maybe younger, I don't know. I'm getting, certainly getting older all the time. More like a kid. Let's see, what do we got here for our lesson card? Space as a living being illustrated through the breath of life, mathematical movement through matter. Okay.
Okay, that's
simple stuff like that.
Yeah, simple things. Like, that's a pretty big topic. Actually.
Yeah, it can be.
Complicated math and space and time, and of course we talked about time a little bit, but. If you throw the word
mathematical, of course, some of these are kind of taken out of context or maybe tied on to another subject, but what I would say is that space is alive. You know, consciousness is alive, and you know, it might appear to be invisible, this distance between you and I, or between physical objects, which of course are just energy as well. But not to confuse the subject, its base itself is like the light. You know, it says that God is light, or consciousness is light. So you know, it's a very alive being. You know, we once we start delving into the nature of space, we would learn that portals exist there, that super consciousness exists there, that all manner of time and place exists there. It's just a matter of tuning in any point in space, which includes ourselves, or you know, it's the center of the great universal mind. So we can tune in at any point into this space, because it is super conscious and super alive. It's full of energy. I mean, you could literally, metaphorically, or actually take a device and just tie it into the matrix of space. That's how alive it is, and power your house, power your car. You know, the devices of the future are not going to be, definitely not fossil fuel, and they're probably not going to be very big. I mean, the UFO crafts, that they're just flying around with a mind melding continuum that powers their device. You know, so this whole thing of space being invisible, well, it's so much more than that. It's a very alive, conscious being, and you know, the sooner we get away from, you know, living for 3D and all of the trappings that 3D has for us, and start to realize that everything can be provided from us, from the living conscious being of space. Christians or other groups might want to call that God, the great universal mind, as the New Agers might call it. It's all the same thing. It's all of this conscious being. It's all space. It's all alive, and you know, it's all available to us. We just got to realize that we really are the center of that, and you know, start tuning in.
And we're all actually center of the universe. We're center of our own universe, and we're center of all that is. So we're all part of this. And the great thing with light is that it can be particle and wave at the same time, which shows you that matter and light are basically the same thing, that matter and space are actually the same thing. And it kind of depends on who the observer is and what you're expecting as to what you see, and showing us again that we are the creator of even that light, that can be matter or wave depending on what we expect to see or find, and that's controlled by us. So how amazing is that?
Well, it gets pretty amazing, but you know, since I'm pretty science-based in all this, I think it is very amazing, but it's also very factual, and what quantum physics is showing us, and other studies into the mystic arts, is that there is some tangible proof behind this, mathematics, sacred geometry, other things that show that you know, it's not a pie in the sky God. It's an actual energy force that functions very deliberately, and it can be tapped into and understood to really great degrees.
Yes.
Yeah. Deep enough for you today? I'm sure we're going to overwhelm our listeners on this one.
That was a really complicated card.
It was. I only got halfway there, but
yeah.
More cards where that came from. Maybe the next one will be more forthcoming.
So I was just reminded in my book about oneness, and you know, that as we talked about covers a lot of the unity, that all being center and all being light and part of God. And you know, the famous words, "My Father and I are one." I had a very powerful dream at one point, and I wrote about it in the book, and I found myself in a place that was in a past life actually, and very nasty, low energy, kind of a nightmarish type scene, and I was talking, and the funny part was this was a very lucid dream. I knew I was dreaming. I knew this was a past life, and I knew I didn't want to be there ever again. So I was kind of yelling out to God or the universe, my angels, that I could feel around me. And I was like, I said I never wanted to be here again. Why am I here? What am I doing here? I never wanted to see this again. And they were there, well, we're right here. And I'm like, okay, get me out of here. Take me out of here. I don't want to be here. I never want to see this. And as I pulled myself out of that, they were there to tell me. They were there for me, but I didn't need them. Actually, it was like Michael with me saying, I'm right here, but you don't need me. And I'm like thinking, well, kind of do. I don't like it here. Get me out. So as I woke up out of that, I realized, oh, okay, I got myself out of it because I woke myself up. And as I woke up, the words coming out of my mouth as I realized I was awake were, my Father and I are one. And that whole scene and happening was there to tell me that I don't need them, or that we all are one, and that I am capable, in the words of the Master, saying that all these things I do, you can do as well. And the reminder that we have that power too. And ask for help if you feel you need it, but even when your help knows you don't need it, they will tell you and make you realize that you have the ability yourself.
Well, and we find that a lot more with people that are more, quote, in enlightenment, that their teachers or their ascended ones, kind of stand back and say, you got this. They want you to realize that we are the empowered ones, just like they are. There's no separation in the power structure. That we're just as powerful as they are. We just got to believe it.
And they are there for you, and even though they were only telling me that I could do it myself, that reassurance was there. That reassurance and that guidance was still there, and we all are one. They're all part of you, and they are there to remind you of that when you forget. So.
Right, and they are totally there for us. I'm not denying that. That they.
But they're us.
They probably see the bigger picture a lot of times, and that they want us to grow and evolve, and it may appear that they're not forthcoming. That's probably just our ego speaking. Oh, where are you, my ascended master, buddy? And and so maybe we get a little disappointed over that. I just wanted to comment more about this. My Father and I are one. Of course, that's Jesus talking to the naysayers, I believe, and he probably performed some miracle or something. I don't remember exactly where it appears, somewhere in the New Testament, obviously. And but that connection of the Father is, he calls it the Father because that was what the people of that time needed something to identify with. Even the Christians of now feel that they need to identify with a personage with that. But really what he's talking about is the great universal mind, source itself, the great omnipotent energy that guides and directs our lives. And Jesus in that lifetime, and continues to, because of course there is no death, he continues to live like all of us. He had studied for 30 years, his whole lifetime before he said that subject with the highest teachers of the entire region. So he was very comfortable in saying that because he knew the signs and wonders, that the so-called miracles, the manifestations, even to the point of overcoming death itself, was all attainable through him because his love, his energy was totally attuned to that energy, and that allowed him to not only believe this, but to know it was true. It's all in the knowing of it. The belief is just the first step. The second step is knowing it beyond any shadow of doubt. And once we do that, we become one with the Father or with the great universal source.
Yeah, I like to think of it as the all that's in the one, and we're as much the one as we are the all. It is all one, kind of inseparable from the other, and you know, the masters all knew that, and that's exactly what that line meant. And throughout my life, to me, it's been quite amazing how I woke up saying that, number one, but throughout my childhood, even in this life, I've never been a huge Bible reader. Can't say I read too much of it. You know, got taken to church when I was young, etc., but never been into studying it on my own at any point. But yet, so many times in my life, when needed, those words have come into my mind, and they have all been lines like "My Father and I are one." All these things you can do, I can do. All of Master Jesus Sananda's words coming into my head from Spirit, and I know them and feel them on a deep level. And so, you know, to me, that's kind of our inner knowing telling us that we don't always have to read the Bible. We don't have to read to know what's true. Deep within us, we will be given direction, whether it's from guides from the masters themselves or from our higher self, which are all connected. And those words come up at the right time, and they can stop you in your tracks and go, oh yeah, that knowledge is there for you.
Well, and that's power. Those words, as you're calling them, a lot of times is called that inner voice, or the Christians would call it the Holy Spirit. And those words can be very powerful sometimes,
They stop you in your tracks,
they'll come like right out of the blue, and it may be only 3 words, but it'll be like the 3 most omnipotent words you'd heard this entire month, if not your lifetime, and qualitatively, they are very powerful. If you learn to listen to your words, to your thoughts. When these words come to you from that small, still voice within, another Christian term, it can be very powerful, and you know, and if you don't listen to it, you're going to be kicking yourself, because 3 days later you said, "Oh, I should have listened," and meanwhile you just, you know, bumped your car or whatever, you know, thing that they were trying to direct you away from.
Yes, it's very true. And sometimes more than one person will get the message in the room. I was talking with someone once, and we were discussing something about some people aren't ready to hear the messages that you have, and we were discussing this for a few moments, and we both heard, again, the words, don't throw your pearls before swine. We both heard the message, and I said it, and he said it too. He says, "Oh, I just heard that," and I'm like, "Yeah, I just heard that." And we, you know, those messages that come to you at the perfect time, and it's like so foreign. As I said, I don't read the Bible, but I knew that's where it came from, and so these masters are with us, and whether they're with you as like a guide in the room with you, or they're just part of you because we're all connected to that consciousness, whichever way we experience it doesn't really matter. So pay attention. I mean, maybe you won't get clear words, maybe you'll just get the message in a feeling or some other way, but we do have guidance that is always there for us.
Yes, we do.
I wanted to, there was another thing that popped into my head too, that there's been so many pictures, like you said, this seems to be, you know, Master Sananda or Jesus. I like to use Sananda because I feel that's the ascended master of Jesus on the other side. And there's been confusion. There's been so many pictures, and people say, well, you know, which likeness is most like Jesus? And some say, you know, this dark-haired one is Jesus, and some say, no, this blue-eyed, lighter-haired one is Jesus. And there's arguments over it. And the message that I got with that several years ago made it much clearer to me, and hopefully it helps you as well, that Jesus was an incarnation. Jesus was a lifetime of a soul, just like we all have probably many lifetimes. And so the pictures of Jesus as Jesus are the ones that do have the darker hair and a certain look to him. And the ones with the lighter shade of hair and the bluer eyes are the ones I like to call the Master Sananda pictures. So they are the same soul. They are just, you know, the risen spiritual picture and the lifetime of Jesus picture. And we don't look the same in every lifetime, obviously. You know, we've had lifetimes even as male, female, changing form, etc. But that soul is still the same soul. So there really doesn't need to be any of that controversy over which picture you see or which version you see. That is all the same spirit, and we're all one. So.
That's true, and you know, with the density of the human form, that's not really the best description when it comes to figuring out who a person looks like, or even who we look. We've all had many different looks, male and female, and you know, fat and skinny, and different things. I mean, except for me, I always pretty much look this way. I don't know, but
No, you can.
I could say, but what I was thinking of as you were saying that is a book by Mark Hammer. Do you remember that Book of Mastery or something?
The Way of Mastery.
The Way of Mastery by Mark Hammer. He channeled the Jesus energy very well during. He's a fifth level meditator, and just like everything he said was just golden. And in this rather large discourse, there are actually 3 different books. And one of the quotes in there that I'd like to, I'll paraphrase, is that I don't have a body. You know, I am not physical. You know, this is Jesus talking. And you know, in that description, he wasn't. He was just an energy channeling, you know, being channeled by somebody that was able to carry enough high energy to do that accurately. And that is so true for all of our souls. I mean, it may look like we have this physical body. It seems necessary, especially in this 3D realm, to get along. But really our higher selves is just pure energy. It's just pure soul light. It doesn't really have a body as we think of it. We just use the body as a point of identification, a point of experience with another living being, and that's really you know, how we should view our body. You know, we're spiritual beings first, having a physical experience, not the other way around. So you know, it's best when we identify with our body, and Mark Hammer also said this in his channelings, is just to start to identify with that body as not a body, as something that is almost foreign to us in a sense, because really what we are is that spirit form, that soul that is just using this body at this time.
Well, as you said, it gives us the experience, and you know, I think there are spirit bodies too, and light bodies as well. So there's different versions of our body, and you know, at that point, once we leave the 3D behind, so to speak, we can take on pretty much the appearance that we would like to, or the appearance that's appropriate at the time. And that's how, you know, when I've done mediumship before, and some people, you know, a person will appear often younger than before they passed. You know, I will see them 30 or 40 years old. I won't see them, you know, 75 or 80 like they were when they passed. So whatever way the person remembers them or connects with them is how they're going to best view it, and that may change for the individual.
That's very true. Quite often, I mean, maybe we expect to see our grandparents are going to first come to us, you know, as 80-year-olds. You know, this is over in 5D, or maybe we're channeling them or whatever. But say we cross over and we greet them there, because they've also passed over. They may come as 80-year-olds, but I think in the highest form we probably are that most healthy time of our lives, let's say 35 or 40, and a lot of times that's why the the larger portions of us will appear in as middle age, as opposed to kind of looking like we're 90 or 100, like we should have been dead for 10 years.
Unless the person didn't know them that way, and then there's a reason for it. So, as I said, it's appropriate to how the person connects to whoever is there, and that can be different for everyone.
Well, and on that same subject, when we cross over, there's a lot of descriptions of what masters are we going to meet, or what teachers and so forth. Well, I believe it's all a matter of what your belief structure is. If you're a Muslim or a Hindu or a Zenist, you're going to see ascended ones and enlightened ones that look very close to whatever culture that you grew up with. You're not going to be suddenly thrust into some Christian environment that you have no conscious knowledge of. You're going to be getting your enlightenment from what you have, and in the same manner, I believe you could take that further. And if you cross over and you have a lot of negative and a lot of scary things going on in your auric field, you may be getting some scary things and some lessons from entities that are not so pleasant. This might be called hell by some standards, but it's really all self-created. Wherever you are for your lessons at that time, you get over into 5D, you start manifesting that very quickly. Speaking of time being shortened, well, the feedback loop there is like instantaneous. That's how quick it is. We get exactly what we need, and if we need we need an angel with wings, we'll get that because that's our belief structure. But maybe for a hippie, he just needs some guy sitting there with a joint, being mellow. I mean, you just never know. We really get what we want, or what we need, I should say.
Well, it's true, and the other thing to remember is, though, this is probably not your first life here, and as I experienced as a child having a near-death experience, I wasn't old enough to be attached to any religion whatsoever, but I did meet Ascended Master Sanat Kumara, who is Sananda Kumara, Jesus' relative in spirit, so to speak, and on some level, everywhere there felt like home to me. All the beings that knew me there felt like home, and it's not our first time here, so when we do cross over, our knowledge of other lifetimes also comes with us and connects back to us. And so we very well had lifetimes being Hindus or being Muslims or being some other religion. And at that point, everything makes sense, and we realize everything's connected and all paths lead home. And it doesn't matter really who we see. In fact, I think mostly we're concerned about seeing immediately those people that pass before us that we have love connections to. Maybe your mother, maybe your grandparents, maybe those friends that passed long before you, and that's kind of who we're actually bringing to us by our love connection, even before we get to meet some of these more larger energies of the masters.
Interesting.
So what about another card this time?
Another card, okay.
Yeah, let's try that.
Let's see where it goes. They call me a rainbowologist. That's one who studies the rainbow. I actually started this study in about 1980 and took it on as a lifelong mission in 1983, once the rainbow around the sun appeared, and numerous other miracles.
Yes.
And so I, I get people sending me pictures of the rainbow and every other rainbow thing all the time because they identify me as the rainbow guy or even as the rainbow guru. Of course, the biggest guru is you, so I'm not taking too much credit on that, but I do have quite a bit of knowledge around the rainbow study. Okay, our card for this moment is the universal field equation defined, a combination of all there is, the reality. That's the definition of the universal field equation, is a combination of all there is, the reality. So the universal field equation is something that scientists have sought, mostly over there in the physics realm. Einstein spent most of his life trying to resolve it, came up with some interesting statements, E equals mc squared.
That's relativity.
But all related to the same study that he was it was the theory of relativity. He was trying to figure out what makes the universe work. And I don't claim to be a scientist. I'm a little bit more heart-based than that, more philosophically based, but I do have a great interest in that. My predecessor and teacher was very into the science end of this, and he believed that the rainbow equation was certainly a description of the unified field theory, or the universal field equation, same thing. And the reason I can believe that is true is because in a real sense the rainbow equation is the little book. It is the description of how light works on the most simplest level, and God is light, consciousness is light. So if we can look at the rainbow and all of a sudden find the sacred geometrical relationships on the most pure levels, literally the building blocks of the universe, and reduce that down to a very simple mathematical formula, so simple that you can count the sectors and see that all of these things all work together. It's simple addition to discover how the rainbow equation works. And the reason for that is because we're just dealing with 7 colors and the flow of these 7 colors upon base geometrical shapes, the building blocks of the universe. So in a very real sense, a circle, square, triangle relationship and their 3D predecessors are the unified field equation. It shows how the whole universe works with the connection of light and what these building blocks are. In case our viewers are wondering, I've showed this before, but I have a picture of this rainbow equation. I'll just hold that up just so you can see that it does actually exist. It is a 3D model, a very scientific model, but also a very profound prophetic model that deals with the revelation of light and the rainbow, how it will literally change consciousness here on Earth at this time.
Yeah, it's a wonderful scientific way to view it. To me, I feel science and, as you call it, the love heart part of it, they're all connected, they're all one. They're 2 sides of the same coin, kind of, and so no matter which direction you want to learn from, they will meet up in the middle, and there's something for everyone to learn about and to find these truths that we already know inside, and they will resonate with you when you read them or when you actually remember them. So it's a really wonderful equation. In fact, you have that equation on our counter. You need to get
we do. We're getting
working
closer.
on that and bringing
It's
it
been
here.
under a little repair. These things, time has a way of making things look older, so we've been refurbishing it, and we hope to get that on display here. Meanwhile, the book, which is a lifelong work, was completed in 2012. Over 70 color illustrations throughout it, primarily dealing with rainbow structure, and but also the big picture. What's going on with rainbow prophecy and how it affects us here and now. There's dozens of actual prophecies that are talked about in there. The rainbow has always been a sign of changes. It appears after the storm, and what bigger storm could we be having right now? Sort of fake flu and other pandemics out there.
Well, there's definitely awakening, a lot of truth coming out, and that's the whole revelation of it, is truth coming out, truth that's been hidden from the masses for so long is finally coming out, and it's not pretty, and sometimes we don't want to look at it, but looking at it is the first step to changing it, and knowing it's there is the first step to getting rid of it and changing it and making things better. And there's no way around it. It's just going to be there in your face until we change it, because there is no change without knowledge and without even the reactions that have to be had, the horror, the anger, whatever. We've been lied to. Yes, we have. And more than that, we have to get over that and get to the part where we fix it. And that's going to take a lot of people and a lot of combined energy to realize that we're stronger than this 1% that has been kind of holding us hostage for centuries.
Yeah, and it's very dynamic, this holding that they have over people, all primarily through the money field and the misuse of power, and keeping us segregated. Well, the world is too small now. The technology has merged us all. The shortening of time is causing these experiences to all be manifest. In listening to what you said there, with this all being revealed, well, that's what the book of Revelation it literally means. It's the revelation, the revealing. The apocalypse itself, so the translation of that is the revealing. So it's all about an uncovering of truths. It'd be many of them nasty and ugly. We have awareness of that, but along with that, it's also the uncovering of the great omnipotent consciousness that's going on right now. That we are God and goddesses ourselves, and that we can. We can and are making a difference. This is all about group consciousness right now. We all got to rise together, and yeah, there's a lot of ugliness. This 1% in the world has really polluted the world, and some people would say to the end, that there is no recovery. But that's when the people actually rise up. Is when we're at this point of most dismal returns, at the point of the biggest storm. That's when the rainbow children are going to be rising up. The people of super consciousness are going to be rising up and revealing all of these things. These producers that are revealing these stories, and they've been around for decades now, but now they're in the masses. I mean, they're just every corner you turn around, there's another person revealing a truth, and they're doing it with the most amazing documentaries and proof, factual affidavits, and that's why the arrests are massive right now. There's leaders and strong people we call these idiots that have taken over our world, and they thought they was going to get away with it. Well, the evidence is getting revealed against them now. No longer can their truths and ugliness be held in the darkness. All light is being increased right now, and this light is what the revealing is in this end-day prophecy that we're all living at this very moment. 2020, the great open your eyes, 2020
open
vision.
Your eyes, 2020 vision.
Yeah.
Well, it's true, and the more unaware people are, the more it seems to take for them to wake up and realize that these things are true. And so it's really, if you've been doing the work and you've been growing spiritually and you've been more aware, it takes less for you to realize what's going on. But for some, it takes more. And that's why we're seeing such ugly things being revealed now, because that's what it's going to take to move these people that have really bought into the system and thought things were working the way it was. And so, the best thing we can do, work on yourself, raise your own vibration, and add that to the collective, and know that by doing that, you're doing the best you can. And what is it going to take? How bad is it going to have to get? That's kind of the bottom line. That remains to be seen, and hopefully the more we help each other grow and the more we shed light on things to people that are ready for it, the faster this will go, and the faster that we can heal from it.
Well, speaking, the faster it will go, this hour has gone by very fast. I just checked my clock, and we're actually right at the 2 o'clock hour.
Okay.
So 60 minutes has came
Flown
and went.
and flown away.
And again, I invite anybody that locally in the shadow of the great Sedona, Arizona, here in the Verde Valley. If anybody would like to visit our shop at Mystic Muse, we're right here on Main Street, 365 South Main Street, and just look for the big yellow building. And we're right in the back of that. We're always doing readings and just everything that we've been doing for the last 10 or 20 years. So please come down for that. Right now is primarily me, but you've been doing a lot of free service as well. And mysticmuseonline.com is our website. Please visit that, rainbowequation.com, if you want to get deeper into some of the subjects I've talked about today and discover the Rainbow Connection book, David Shepard Love. We'll get you to I got about 3 or 4 different books out right now, so do that. Get a copy of the CD if you want to get some nice folk music with a message. Very beautiful songs there. Or also Debora's book is there. All of that can be found under her name of Debora Christy Love. So just search those terms and get connected. Okay.
Oh.
Thank you both. It says from somebody.
You're welcome.
And
Thanks for joining,
thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for Lorraine and Fraser, and I think there's a few people we never know who's watching. Sometimes it doesn't always show us.
Well, we'll see on the rerun, and we'll see you next week. And thank you, everyone.
Okay, have a good week.